What up, Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. If it's your first time listening on this show, we get into the trenches with real-world entrepreneurs, creators, inventors, artists even, that are raising money every single week using crowdfunding as part of their strategy to not only get funding, but also to bring a new product into the world, to impact the world for the positive, to make a dent in the universe, and to get something out there into other people's hands. And I really like to, don't want to, oversell this, but I really do think that we are honestly curing the world of pain, because every single product solves a pain point. And every entrepreneur, if you go back and listen to the archives of this show, are solving problems, right? We are curing the world of pain in our own unique way as innovators and as creators and as entrepreneurs. And today's podcast guest is doing exactly that as well. He's launched a campaign on Indiegogo, which is one of the top crowdfunding websites out there. He attracted more than $200,000 for his campaign and for his product. And he came on today's show not only to share with you exactly how he did it in terms of some of the techniques and the strategies that he used, but also the mindset that goes into needing to be successful, the competitive mindset that he learned from his sort of different careers that he's had over his life, and how that kind of played into running a successful crowdfunding campaign. There's a lot of really interesting stuff when it comes to today's episode, and some interesting, I would say one big major crowdfunding strategy shift that I think a lot of people need to make that can really empower you, even if you've never really had any kind of experience with marketing. I think that one of the shifts we'll talk about in today's episode is going to help you a lot. So that's what I love doing. I love talking with entrepreneurs and creators. I love talking to people who are trying to make an impact in some way. I've been doing this since 2015. The podcast I've been doing in the crowdfunding industry, my blog, crowdcrux.com, since 2012. And I've devoted my life to this sucker. I put out quality education via my blog, my books, my programs, and coaching as well. And I really try to help people reach their full potential in this area of their life. And I think the cool thing about this is that when you do smash through your goal, when you are successful, it's one of those cool things where like a ton of other people are also, the people who are working with you, the people who believe in you, your staff members, your partners, right? Your stakeholders, even your suppliers, your manufacturers, they all win when you win. So today's episode is really going to prime you to have that mindset that's required to have sort of a champion result, if you will. In addition, the strategy and tactics that go into that. But one other quick thing before we get into today's podcast, I do think that PR and getting people's attention in the media and influencer, et cetera, is one of the most incredible ways to get credibility, to get traffic, to get you to stand out. And I think that doing all of this is really a marketing exercise in terms of a campaign. So if you ever wondered, how do you rack up media hits? How do you get a story to spread like wildfire? How do you get journalists to write about you, right? And actually get some of those media logos on your campaign? I got a great free course out there, which you can check out at crowdcrux.com/PR if you want to get into the media and start to actually get some headlines about your product and about your campaign. That free course is crowdcrux.com/PR, crowdcrux.com/PR. Just go there, enter your name and email, and you'll start getting some lessons from me as how to do exactly that. So that way, when you go live with this sucker, you can also start to make headlines with your product. All right, guys, without further ado, let's get into today's podcast episode. Listen again for some of those really interesting mindset hacks to be successful, and it's coming up right after this. Hey guys, welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Today we're speaking with a creator that's been able to attract more than 200,000 on an Indiegogo campaign. Tons of people that are checking this out for LUMAFLEX, which is a revolutionary red light therapy panel. And we have a lucky enough chance here to speak with the creator himself. John, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Definitely, man. Maybe we can get started. You can just tell listeners a bit about the product, some of the functions and the features, and we can start off there.
So yes, this is the LUMAFLEX Body Pro. It is the world's first fully flexible, portable, durable red light therapy panel. If you know much about red light therapy, it's actually been going on for a long time. I mean, you've got astronauts that use red light therapy. You have people that use it. It's very big in beauty for skin because it naturally produces collagen. The use cases for it are enormous. So what red light therapy actually is It's available. Red and infrared light is available to us when the sun rises and the sun sets. So that's that golden hour. You look outside and you got a beautiful sunset. You see that red and orange color. That's red light. And when you wake up in the morning, you see, that if you're able to, depending on where you are on the planet, if you actually are 30 degrees away from the equator, you don't have access to it. So that's any country, or if you yourself are in a country 30 degrees away from the planet, you are not able to access it. So it definitely means that the LUMAFLEX is something you should look at.
So this attaches to your body, right? And then it kind of renders those features, and it's flexible, waterproof, it looks like, removable battery.
Yeah, so exactly. The light is at the right wavelength to penetrate the skin and the cell and the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell. So this enables the cell to do its job. So if its job is to heal or to circulate blood or to promote growth, or whichever it is that the job of the cell, it empowers the cell to do that, even giving you energy. So red light therapy usually is accessible when you go to a clinic or you go to sort of a rehab center or beauty spa. You may get your massage, you may get your sauna, your ice bath, and then there'll be a sauna, which is a red and infrared light sauna. So having this available is great, but usually involves you having to drive to your car. You have to, pay for a session. Whereas with the LUMAFLEX Body Pro, you are able to basically take it home and you can do it on the go. So you can do it while you're watching your kids play in the park. You can do it while you're on the computer working from wherever you are in your office.
Very cool.
And you can move it to different places in your body. So that's kind of, we're mainstreaming red light therapy. And the key thing is the LUMAFLEX Body Panel. This is waterproof. It's built with silicone, which means it's very, very durable. The panel itself can stand over 100 kgs worth of pressure, can throw it into your gym bag. It's not going to break. And
so you've created something that's portable, that's flexible, that's durable, it sounds like, and offers a lot of features and benefits. What really was the story of you getting obsessed with or interested in this problem? Because I think that to really focus on that to such a high degree, you really have to really want to solve that problem. What kind of got you interested in this?
That's right. Nothing's done without an extreme amount of passion and conviction. The more you have, you're more likely to succeed. So I have a very strong fitness background. And as an athlete, I competed in adventure racing, CrossFit, boxing. I mean, I don't think there was many sports that I didn't at least try to compete in. And when you compete, your body is kind of like your means of existence. It defines you and your purpose for living. So when you are injured or you have an ailment or you're broken in some way, it really it's something you don't want. It's very, very depressing. So I had a knee injury on my left knee, and it was something I think I got from my college basketball days. It was just aching and something that really I struggled with for most of my life. And my wife, she's Chinese. She was saying, I want to buy you this lamp. So it was this big, cumbersome, ugly looking, heavy lamp, with a big red bulb. And she was like, you have to try this. You have to try it. It works. And I just thought it was this, Chinese feng shui, whatever. I was okay. I was, agreeable.
You weren't bought in. Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'll make you happy. I'll do it. So it involved this lamp that actually it heated up very hot when you would put it on, the skin. And she was saying, this is going to work. And she would every night she would pull the lamp in, she would turn on, she would get me to lay down, and she would put that lamp on my knee. And it actually worked.
That's awesome, man.
That really got me thinking. I was like, what is this? This is light. Okay. Is it the heat? Is it because, Asians, Chinese, they're very into heat therapy, right? In the West, it's more about cold therapy. And I realized it wasn't about the heat. It was the light. And researching it more, I became obviously quite obsessed with it because it is non-invasive, right? It's natural. Right, taking a pill and hoping something will work. You're like, am I going to be dependent on this pill? Or what other side effects are going to be are going to arise from actually from doing something that's very invasive? Yeah. So I was very careful and aware of that. And having something that was so simple natural and non-invasive kind of blew my head off, to be honest.
So I mean, you obviously wanted to make something that, like you said, was non-invasive and something that's kind of more natural in that way. Out of curiosity, you talk a lot about, your background in fitness. Is this the first product which you've created, or have you created other ones?
Definitely the first product that can be taken home. I've opened, I think it's 6 gyms in total in the past. I did supplement companies. I was like featured. I actually specialized in golf fitness for a while. I was actually featured on the Golf Channel.
Wow, that's cool.
I got really into golf and sort of the mechanisms of golf and how to sort of enhance an athlete to, hit further, be more flexible, to play better. But yeah, this is kind of something that out of everything I've done is definitely going to have the most impact, I feel. And it's, it can be taken. It can be taken at home. Like you can take this with you wherever you go. Like it's not something you have to, or, oh, sure, I'll be there next week, or, oh, I'll swing by when I'm on my business trip next month. It's no, it's yours. You have it, use it, get the benefits from it. In benefits of red light therapy come with continued use. You have to be consistent in your use of it, right?
So I would say, in thinking about your story, you're definitely a competitor, right? And I think a lot of people, when they're trying to compete and they're trying to bring a new product into the world, they're not aware of how long it takes, right? For you, how long were you actually working on this before you unveiled this on Indiegogo?
It's like 2 years of development. Wow. Easily. We're still developing it. We still, because there's an application that I want to enhance. My ideas for the application, oh wow, that's gonna be going for quite some time. But yeah, because there's the tech side as well. There's lots of testing that needs to be done, right? The waterproof, it needs to be waterproof, right? It can't be
you want to get it right. Yeah. So when you're doing that and you've spent 2 years and you're like, okay, we're now going to unveil this to the world. What made you choose Indiegogo as a platform to do that?
Indiegogo, it's good. It's got a good community. It's got people that are early adopters, people that they appreciate new ideas, new innovations, new science. It's a good way to get things started. It's a marketing strategy, right? It's just a way to create some buzz, give some noise. It's of course there are many other crowdfunding platforms, and I by no means I'm saying only Indiegogo. I'm sure everyone. It just depends on just how familiar you are with the platform itself, and obviously with the team that's doing the back end, how familiar they are with it. But the idea of crowdfunding is just it's a marketing strategy. It's a way to get everyone to say, "Hey, look, look what I'm doing. Check it out." Right? That's what we did it for, right?
Yeah. So I mean, you were in this game for 2 years. You're developing the product. What did it feel like the night before you really went live with this campaign? What was kind of going through your mind? What were you feeling?
Oh, $1 million! It's coming. 1 week. Watch. Of course, it's hard to not get your expectations up high, right? That's natural. I'm sure everybody does that, right? You want to sort of always hope for the best, because this is where the motivation comes in to do anything, right? You want to always be thinking about like the best case scenario and imparting that motivation and drive to the team, because then it pumps them up, right? And then it's easier to sort of climb over problems and fix things, if things don't pan out, because they know that, look, you're in it to win it, forward, always forward. Let's hope for the best, plan for the worst. That's Murphy's Law, right? That's kind of.
So you have this massive vision, and the team are kind of rallying around. So you didn't really feel anxious in that way. You almost felt more so excited, right?
Yes. Yeah. You have to. Yeah. It's always good to, have someone on the team that sort of knows the mechanics, knows the reality. But you don't let them speak for the whole team. They're the advice that you have, that you use, that you refer to, that you obviously take into consideration every single day. But what really drives the brand and what gets people excited and what gets people to get involved with it, whether it be media or influencers or companies or brands that want to, like what you're doing, is you shoot for the stars. You're going for the moon. Actually, you know what? We're going for Mars and we're never coming back, kind of thing. Like you've got to painting a very bright future, right? That's how you get support, and you get people behind your product, get people passionate like you about it, right?
So you go live, you start getting funded. I see you got fully funded in the first 10 minutes with this campaign. What did it feel like to have people finally starting to actually back this, to be able to own it, start having that funding coming in? What did that feel like?
Feels good, but you got to just be like, okay, now we're on to the next milestone, right? The party's not over, right? The war's not won. We've got a battle done. Now we got to keep pushing, right? It just motivates you to get to the next milestone. That's kind of at least the attitude that I myself always adopt. It's never time to retire. It's just, you get those daily wins, you get those small milestones done, but they need to propel you forward. You got to use that win to get you to the next milestone. And if you don't get it fast, keep pushing, because once you get that win, another one's coming, right? Step by step.
That's the competitor's mindset. Yeah. I love that. If you're worried about the fulfillment and shipping part of your Kickstarter campaign when it comes to getting out all those perks and rewards to your backers, rest assured, I've put together a complete Kickstarter fulfillment and shipping checklist for you, and it's free. This is sponsored by the folks at Fulfillrite, and they thought that you should have this checklist as part of your arsenal going into a crowdfunding campaign. If you want to get instant access to this checklist, and it's free, you can go to fulfillrite.com/checklist. Again, that is fulfillrite.com/checklist, fulfillrite.com/checklist. Just go to that link and you can download it immediately. So one or two questions here, just kind of on the campaign. We have a lot of people who are, might look at this and be like, wow, this is really cool. The way the guy has been able to bring a new product to market and the funding you've been getting, right? So do you feel like you have any advice or tips for other people who might be interested in doing a campaign, either in terms of the marketing channel that contributed most to your success or any kind of strategy that you learned? What do you feel like you have any tips on that point?
Yeah, it really comes down to like what you're bringing to the world. What's your what problem are you solving? And is it really a problem, or did you just make that problem up in your own head? And I see that a lot. I see people creating problems and then, building a solution. But is it actually a problem? Is this really truly what you believe is needed? So it does come back to, the product itself, the service or whatever it is that you're putting out there. Is it really truly fixing a problem? And the way you can know this is, you can test it out. You can get responses, get feedback, and get people saying like, this is great. This really solved my problem. And I'm better for it. And I wish, all my friends and family had this. You need a lot of these stories before you get started, because that's the data, that's the proof that what the world needs. And then after that, you never take your foot off the gas. There's no, oh, it's holiday time, or, oh, it's the weekends, or I'm just doing a 9 to 5, or no. It's all the time. It's forward, always forward. You just never take your foot off the gas. If of course there are times when you do need to rest, regenerate, recuperate. That's what I use the LUMAFLEX for. It obviously really helps to help me get pumped up again. But you got to be prepared to really put your foot on the gas and not take it off, and be patient. Really be patient. Rome wasn't built in a day. And, some campaigns can be quick, some can be long, and you've got to be prepared for a campaign that may actually be a long campaign, right?
Yeah. So basically making sure you have something that people want, being willing to be persistent and actually aggressively going after that and not stopping. It sounds like this has been what's contributed to your success.
That's right. Yeah. Because you know so firmly in your mind that this is a great product from the world and it's missing, and people are going to greatly benefit from it. So you're fueled by that. You have a cause, you have a mission. It's not a product, it's a goal. You're trying to make the world better. And that's what your anchor is to keep going, right? I'm not in it to make money or to, buy my Lambos or whatever that stuff is. I'm in it. I want to make an impact.
You can buy a fleet of tuk-tuks there also.
Yeah, tuk-tuks are all right. I'm cool with the tuk-tuk. I want to do something. I love hearing stories. Like I had a basketball coach who's over in the US, someone I've actually known from a long time. He's, someone that's, had all the greats under his tutelage. And I sent him a unit, and he was he gives the feedback that really gives that motivation to then, keep driving forward. People are always saying this, like whether there be pro boxers, pro CrossFitters, pro football players, they're always giving this great response. And, this is the jet fuel you need to just keep pushing at it, right? And really grow the brand.
So there's this idea of a mindset of a champion, or the mindset of an athlete or a competitor. Do you feel like you've always had that mindset? Were you born with that, or do you feel like that there was a moment where that kind of started to develop for you?
Yeah, I think champions are made or champions are born. I'm not really sure. I think you do develop into it, and the way you develop into it is with experiences, with trials and errors, with a lot of failure. You learn from those mistakes. Nobody is a champion at birth. They're a champion because of, all the hardships that they went through. That's what a champion is. It's like a resume of failures that, you got back up. I'm going to, we're an official partner of Deca Spartan. It's one of the challenges that are under the Spartan brand. And we're doing a big event in Philadelphia. And I'm so excited because that's Rocky, right? That song, where he's running up the stairs and he has his hands up. I'm really excited to it's such a powerful movie. And that's what a champion is, right? Someone that just knows how to keep getting up after, falling down all the time. That's whether you learn it or you're born with it, that's how you do it. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's in sport, but it's in anything. It's, it's your relationships, it's the business that you have, it's just how you wake up out of bed every morning. It's just the mentality of like, I need to be responsible, not only to myself, but the people around me. And I think I can do something big. So why not? Having
that like ethics and that responsibility, that sense of duty, that willingness to push beyond like the pain barrier, right? To get something done. I totally relate with that. One other question on that kind of front is, have you always considered yourself to be a entrepreneur, or do you even use that word? Have you always been interested in owning your own business? Where did that come from?
Yeah, I don't really use that word much. I don't know what the actual definition is now, because everyone sort of throws it out in their bios and whatnot. But I guess it's just the idea of, I guess it's more the idea of sort of just being in control of your career and not like doing the typical, I'm going to study, I'm going to get a great education, then I'm going to throw my resume out, and I'm going to work for a company and they're going to hire me based on my resume. It's just not following that format. And it's not that format's bad. It's just, it doesn't work for some people. They kind of want to do things different. And maybe that is like starting your own business or starting your own thing or doing things in a different sort of a way. So I guess I fall in that category of just someone who always wanted to do big things, but I wanted to sort of do it from the driver's seat.
Yeah. And it sounds like, you really value the impact. And that was kind of my next question, which was, looking at this, you've raised $200K, you have a ton of people who have bought into this at a price point that definitely shows that they value it. What has been the most rewarding piece of the process? Zooming out from, hey, this is just competition and like plowing through obstacles. What has been the most rewarding piece for you so far?
Definitely the feedback, like all this feedback. I tried it 2 weeks. I gave it to my grandma. She wants to play golf at 75 years old, but she broke her wrist. So I put it on her hand. John, is this how you do it? And I'm like, yeah, just do it. Okay, 10 minutes. And then, do another 10 minutes later at night, hit me up in 4 days. That means like, that's what I really like. Like I almost get to the point where I'm actually messaging them like, hey, are you still using it? Remember, you got to stay consistent. Like that's kind of,
that's the trade. Yeah. And I think that's obviously, super important as well. And, thinking about that and getting that kind of feedback. So one is, golf. Were there any other kinds of bits of feedback or stories that really stuck out in your mind there?
Yeah, boxing, lots of knee rehab situations. A guy, he tore his knee. I don't want to get it wrong because, it wasn't like an MCL, it was something else. But he couldn't compete, and he was a high rocks competitor. So we had to, fly back to his home country, do this big invasive surgery. He was showing me photos of like this camera that they put into his knee, and it was like, oh, it sounded horrific. And I was like, okay, like we are gonna get you back in high rocks. Like you're gonna be competing. Let's set a date and this is what you're doing. You're doing 20 minutes here. You move the panel, do this side, and he's okay. I'm going to start posting about this. I love it. This is good. It's working. I feel it. I feel the blood circulation. Oh, this morning I woke up and I didn't have that usual pain. Like this was, when was this? 2 days ago. Yeah. This is like the latest one that I'm really buzzing about, because his whole thing was basically like, well, that's it. I won't compete again. Right. And I guess he was okay with that, but I was like, no, we're okay. We can still compete. You're not doing MMA fighting where the variables of impact are a little bit more unsure. You're competing in sort of a CrossFit hierarchy. We can get you back in there. Let's go. That story really meant a lot to me. That was good. I got a close buddy who actually is a manager of a very well-known boxer. Maybe best not to say his name, but he had an issue with his back. And I was like, okay, listen, this is what I do for your back. You got to promise me it's every day, dude. You can't be doing like once a week and then come back to me and say, oh, it's not working. I need daily consistent use, and yes, you can still go to the gym, but you do it before, you do it after, do it at night, wake up in the morning, hit that area. And his buddy was saying like, hey, John, I want to get a LUMAFLEX as well. He's not letting me use it. He doesn't let me use his paddle. And it's just nice to hear all of their feedback of how they like it. Because I truly, genuinely am like, look, I don't want you to endorse it or talk about it, or I don't want you to take my word for it. You need to take the product. You need to give me 1 to 2 weeks using it, and then you hit me up. Like I have this much confidence. I'm just giving it to you. You tell me what's good, how you feel. That's how I sort of like to operate. And
in thinking about it in the way that you describe it, I would almost argue that I think you help people reach their full potential, right? I think you really help people get to that next level, which maybe they were at before, and they like an injury is hindering them, or being able to push the performance of their body without stressing them. I think you kind of help people reach those pinnacles a little bit more, if that makes sense.
Oh, I'm getting all emotional now. Yeah, that's the goal. That's the plan. I mean, that's why I wake up in the morning. I think I truly, if that's the impact that I can leave on this planet, I'm good. I can, I'm good with that. That's enough for me. It's definitely.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously huge. And, looking at this, whether you look at like your body, which is like super fit, or your campaign page and your branding, I think so many people will look at your page and go to it and be like, man, like this guy pulled together just like incredible marketing, like the creative, the look, the feel, the brand. Do you have any insight on how you were able to do that? Coming from a different background. For other people out there, is this about the team? Is this about you understanding what you're trying to communicate? How are you able to do that?
Yeah, all for one and one for all. We are a team. We're a family. I definitely stay in my lane. I think that's really important. I know some people with brands, with companies that, and yes, maybe they have a great resume of companies that they work for, great education, however, but you're not good at everything. And if somebody is good at something and they are equally passionate, I leave it up to them. I say, I'm going to take your best advice on this. Like I am going to stay in the place that I know. I'm going to be good at what I do. And I'm going to bring professionals that are way better at things than me. And I totally will trust them. I think this is really, really key. The team is such an important part, right? The team they're all professional, they're all secure and confident that you will highly respect their opinion. You will take their advice and you will, you'll roll with it. You'll support them 100%. I do not in any way claim that I know everything. I'm far from it.
Yeah. So working with a team that has that expertise, and I noticed you're traveling around a lot. Like before the interview, we were talking, you were in Thailand, right? I think your wife you mentioned was Chinese. You're going to Philadelphia. Is that part of your strategy of like meeting interesting people who are good in their field, or what causes you to do that?
Yeah, part of the go to market strategies requires a lot of travel. There's trade shows, there's events, there's competitions, there's media meetups, and there's a lot more power, especially in the early days when you're launching a brand, is to be there face to face and really connect with your potential partners or your potential customer, or a potential media outlet, and you show them clearly what your vision is. It's in your voice, it's in the mannerisms that you have. Being, those sort of that sort of foundation relationship you build in the beginning is so important. So I'm more than willing to jump on a plane and be halfway across the world and just sleep on the way. If it means that I can get the point across and I can build the relationship, and that, that potentially could last a very, very long time, right? It's really key. It's very important. You face-to-face relationships. That's something that if you have the conviction and you have the passion for it, you are going to be better face-to-face. And some potential partners, they are just too valuable to put on a Zoom call or to I'll have my so and so, he'll go and meet you. It's like, no, I should be there. I should be there, and I should really let's spend some time. I'm going to make them a priority, right? And they feel that, they respect it, and then they give you that feedback. They return it to you, right?
And kind of what you say there, I think makes so much sense too, with just like social media and the fact that you have to kind of cut through the noise. And sometimes the way to do that is to have that impact in person, right? And to really make that presence known.
100%. Yeah. 100%. Like,
awesome, man.
Not the best people.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I didn't mean to cut you off there. Sorry about that. But I really wanted to make sure that people can also check this out. And we're talking about this a lot. Where can they go to learn more about your product? Where can they go to discover this and start to look through it?
So the website's a great resource, www.lumaflex.com. And we've got also a page there with the list of all the clinical studies. It's a very, very highly FDA credited product, the LUMAFLEX Body Pro. So no one wants to sit through a bunch, and read through all these, FDA clinical studies, but it is a great, resource for credibility. Me, myself, I'm John Graham Fitness on IG. I always reply to anyone and everybody. LUMAFLEX for IG is also great. Or my LinkedIn, John Graham Harper. That's my LinkedIn. Always willing to take questions or inquiries or, answer any concerns or anything. I'm pretty much 24 hours a day. US time, Asia time. Yeah, it's got to be done.
Okay, so I'll make sure to include that link in the show notes so everyone can go and check that out. I just have one or two more questions for you. My first one is, when it comes to going through this process, it was a long time coming. You then go live. You've learned a tremendous amount being live. Do you feel like there are any kind of crowdfunding advice, or for someone who's just starting this process, any kind of words of wisdom you would impart on the crowdfunding side or marketing tactics, anything along those lines?
Yeah, really make sure you have a great team. Really make sure you've got a good team. And, a team, the team, maybe they're not all professional, like they're not the best of the best, on paper, but if they are all ready to put in the time, the effort, they're ready to do those extra hours, they really want to work and grow together as a team. That's very, very key, because then you're unstoppable. Right. So definitely have, a team ready. Obviously, make sure everybody understands and believes in the vision, because again, that is really, really, really huge when you're doing something like crowdfunding or you're just overall, you're looking to launch a product anywhere in the world, no matter what the product is, you got to have everybody aligned. You really have to invest and grow and nurture and love and adore your team. Make sure that they always come first, right? You got to be a team player. And then, obviously a lot of research, there is a lot of preparation, and definitely take your team's best advice, work things out together, don't, there is a certain risk element. There are times when you do got to say, like, guys, let's, we just got to push the button. But if you do it together, you're ready to, face whatever obstacles may turn up, so yeah, I think it isn't just for crowdfunding, but for anything when it comes to launching a product, is really down to the team and really making sure the team is well looked after. Everybody is on the same page. They all share that same vision. Then things are, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's a lot more smooth as a process. Every day is busy, but every day you're winning. Every day you're getting something done. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well said. Well, first of all, man, I am so jealous that you're in Thailand right now. I was just there for like 5 or 6 months and, traveling throughout the country. So I'm so jealous, especially the food that you get to have there. Amazing.
Healthy, right? So healthy.
Yeah. But yeah, my final question for you, and we can end on this note. We could either end with a quote that you've heard before that you like. We can end with a word of encouragement for other people out there that are getting started with their innovations, with their dreams. Maybe they want to impact the world in a different way, or a final tip about business. Any of those, and we can end on that note.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that springs to mind is, I mean, it's something that I seem to catch myself saying this all the time, and I think I've heard it from some like Navy SEAL or something from a book. But the whole forward always forward is, it's like when it comes down to, you know, whatever it is that you're doing with when it comes to business, if you're launching a product or if you're in development stage or whatever, just try to get a win a day. And it doesn't need to be a big win, but just imagine you're like walking, you know, it's like you're trying to walk to Beijing. You want to go to the Great Wall, right? It's not about running there. It's about just every single day taking at least a step forward. That's kind of how I wake up and I go to bed, is I just try to get a win every day. It doesn't need to be a big one, but at least the momentum needs to be going forward. And for me, I mean, that's sort of advice that I heard somewhere, again, from some Navy SEAL or something, but it just seems to apply so much to what I'm doing at the moment. And that's why I'm always saying, no, forward, always forward. Let's get a win. It doesn't need to be a big win. You don't need to appear on Forbes magazine or have like, you know, Taylor Swift, endorse your product, but it just needs to be something small. And that's what counts. They all add up, and then eventually you get there, right? You achieve, you know, whatever milestone it is that you set, and then you can move on to the next one, right? That's what it's all about, right?
Love it. As they say, it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? Thank you so much, John, for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate that. All the great advice and tips that you've shared. And also, I'm looking forward to, I know you have a couple days here left in your campaign. We'll be sure to link that up, but thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, it's great to share.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Again, my name is Salvador Briggman. And if you feel like you've gotten a lot of value out of today's episode, if you relate with the story, if you really enjoy every single week having a different person who you're kind of like a fly in the wall and you're learning about tricks and strategy and techniques, everything that goes into a crowdfunding campaign, if you enjoy that and you've gotten some value, please leave a positive rating and review for this podcast on iTunes or on Spotify. If you're watching or listening to this on my YouTube channel, give me a thumbs up, come subscribe, right? Would love to have you as a part of the community. And I do notice almost, if you will, this lattice or this commonality or really the habits that go into a successful campaign across every single guest that I've had on this show. And I've really become a student of this craft. And I think that if you want to be successful at something, you do need to become a student of it. You need to be willing to train. You need to be willing to show up, take responsibility for your learning, and actually plow into this sucker and kind of treat it in the same way you would any other discipline. If you're trying to get good at something, you start learning about it. So I commend you so much for showing up. If you do nothing else, take a little bit of action after listening to this show. And if nothing else, again, use my weekly episode as a reason to show up, as a reason to take action, as a reason to kind of keep you on this course of plowing through your obstacles, crushing your goals, even some of those minor ones, and beginning to generate a little bit of momentum. So you have momentum going into this campaign. So I have one final thing that I want to mention on this show. And I think that when it comes to success, it can be a little bit difficult at times, not only because maybe you are serious, maybe you do have discipline and you are willing to take action and you're willing to be all in with this sucker, right? You maybe even want to build a brand. You want to really ethically dominate the world with an incredible new product. You want to solve people's pain points, right? You want to bring something good into the world. But sometimes you just don't even know what's necessarily holding you back. Or you have different things that are holding you back, but you don't know the road ahead either, right? And it can be very difficult going into something new, feeling lots of uncertainty, lots of anxiety, not knowing the strategy, not knowing the mechanics even that go into a successful campaign. It can be extremely difficult. And sometimes it feels like you're hiking this ginormous mountain that you can't even figure out the path to get through some of this difficult terrain. So one of the things I do is I offer one-on-one individual coaching calls where with you in an intensive coaching call, we speed up the entire process. You don't got to listen to hours and hours of my shows or hours and hours of my YouTube videos, or even read my great book, The Kickstarter Launch Formula, right? Or even get into other stuff like my YouTube channel. My courses, right? I really try to speed this up in an individual intensive coaching call where I give you the straightest path to success. Not only do I give you the specific game plan that's going to work for your niche, your category, your product, but we also talk about some of the potential pitfalls in the road. I also introduce you to resources and tools that you might not even know about, or other people in the industry who can help you. Surrounding yourself with the right people, getting a guide, getting a mentor, it's honestly a fraction of the investment when it comes to launching a new campaign. And in addition, the payoff is enormous. How crazy would it be if you tried to go for a hike and you didn't have a trail to follow? Or you're going through a precipitous, mountainous path and you don't have a guide? At that point in time, it's like a complete no-brainer. It makes a lot of sense. And if you really want to bring me on your team when it comes to that, you can go to this link I'm about to mention and fill out this form telling me more about you, telling me more about what you're trying to do, and we can get an intensive coaching call scheduled ASAP. So step outside of your comfort zone. Check out this link at crowdcrux.com/coaching. Again, that link is crowdcrux.com/coaching, crowdcrux.com/coaching. If you feel like your environment is not necessarily always supporting you, if you feel like you're dealt with a certain set of cards and you really want to have the maximum impact and maximum outcome and results possible, go to that link, crowdcrux.com/coaching. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed today's podcast episode. You found it inspirational. You found it useful, chock full of crowdfunding gold, and I will see you next time.